SS symbol. Himmler personally takes charge of developing the Wewelsberg. A concentration camp is built just outside the walls. Cheap labor for the sacred fortress of the Black Order. Cult and terror in one place. Max Hollweg was persecuted for being a Jehovah's Witness. He experienced the sadism of the SS.
We were undernourished, we were mistreated, and were subjected to punishments which were reminiscent of the Middle Ages. Your hands would be tied behind your back, and you would be hoisted into the air to dislocate the shoulder joints, which meant the tips of your toes would touch the ground again, and then you would be hoisted higher.
This rare film from a concentration camp was shot by the Nazi propaganda teams in Oranienburg. This footage is actually intended to convey legality and order, but it reveals the arbitrary despotism that ruled in the camps. Terror and fear are the twin foundations of Himmler's empire. Hitler can have absolute trust in him. After a visit to Dachau concentration camp, an 8-year-old girl writes in her diary, "We saw the herb garden, the pear trees, and the pictures that the prisoners had painted. Afterwards, we had a very nice lunch." The young visitor is Gudrun Himmler, daughter of the head of the SS. After the war, she speaks of her father as a loving man. Himmler has a close relationship with his wife Marga and their daughter Gudrun.
She always sat there keeping very quiet, but you somehow got a positive feeling, as if she were on his side all the time, even if she didn't say anything. And his daughter Gudrun was so small at the time. When she was with him, he was always terribly nice to her.
In fact, children play a key role in Himmler's inhuman ideology. The master race needs to create as many children as possible to safeguard its future designs on power. And the races that are considered inferior should have as few as possible. This leads to particularly horrific crimes. Himmler doesn't spare children either. The SS Reich administrator sees these children as a resource of the German Reich. In 1936, he founds the Lebensborn Association. This provides children's homes where unmarried mothers can have their babies. Himmler wants to prevent them from having abortions, to increase the number of racially valuable children. But these homes have another purpose. Children from elsewhere are subjected to unscrupulous Germanification, if they are suitable.
The children were divided into 10 or 12 racial groups. I was placed in the super-Aryan group, Group 1, thank God. These children could only be adopted by members of the Nazi Party who had graduated from high school.
So, jetzt mach mal die Augen ganz groß auf und schaust mich an. Ja. Georg Weber, Augenfarbe 2.
These human beings are surveyed and catalogued. Their value is determined by the color of their eyes and the shape of their skulls. SS men are only permitted to marry women who are racially flawless.
Nicht mehr zufällig, sondern bewusst wird das Gesunde sich zum Gesunden finden. Zur glücklichen und richtigen Gattenwahl. Gebt euer Bestes eurem Volke. Dann werdet ihr zum besten Volke gehören.
Personal happiness and Christian morality are irrelevant to Himmler's breeding program. He orders even confirmed bachelors to get married. The SS Reich administrator demands at least 4 children from his men, sons preferably. He provides regular home leave to encourage them. SS men who have no children receive lower wages. They must all father as many children as possible, even outside marriage.
Suddenly, the adjutant came along and said, "This is something that only applies to you men, and you mustn't talk about it to outsiders. I have here an order from the SS Reich administrator to the SS." And he read out to us, "So many young Germans have died in the Polish campaign that they must be replaced. And back in Germany, there are plenty of good girls waiting for soldiers who will be happy to sleep with them to provide children for the Führer." He said that quite openly.
Himmler's procreation order is a license for SS men to do what they like. This worries the SS men about their own women.
The soldiers just sat there in silence. You could tell they were furious.
Himmler is forced to repeal the order. Himmler searches for Aryan forebears when Himmler's mania continues. At the castle and church of Quedlinburg, history is falsified in the name of the SS. For the 1000th anniversary of the death of the Saxon king Heinrich I, Himmler stages a sinister charade in the crypt.
Der Reichsführer SS legte einen Kranz und Eichenzweige vom deutschesten aller Bäume auf die Gruft.
The Reich administrator feels he is on sacred ground.
Dieses einstmalige Grab, auf dem seit Jahrtausenden von Menschen unseres Blutes bewohnten Burgberg von Quedlinburg, soll eine Weihestätte sein, zu der wir Deutschen wallfahren.
Himmler believes he has some mystic association with the place.
He felt he was the reincarnation of Heinrich I. He believed that the ancient king was a real Aryan, and he convinced himself a descendant of the king.
Heinrich Himmler is determined to rewrite history. He needs evidence from the past to validate his obsession with Germanic superiority, no matter what the cost. This results in pseudo-scientific expeditions sponsored by the SS. In their search for Aryan predecessors, they search for Atlantis in Venezuela. They even search out Aryan ancestors in Tibet. Himmler's men research and survey with German thoroughness. Visual aids illustrate the ideology of the master race. He has a search performed in the Lüneburger Heide region of the country for traces of ancient Germans, and insists on observing the progress of the excavation himself. He is certain that Hitler's Reich is rooted deep in Germanic soil.
Wir werden diese Grabungen nicht etwa, weil wir der Wissenschaft in irgendeiner Form Konkurrenz machen wollen. Nein, sondern weil wir mit der Wissenschaft zusammen weltanschauliche Dinge suchen wollen, ganz konsequent fortsetzen. Wir werden uns dieser Aufgabe mit derselben Zähigkeit widmen, mit der sich die Schutzstaffel allen anderen Aufgaben bisher gewidmet hat.
They distort German history, so it appears to be the prehistory of the Nazi creed. The evidence Himmler requires isn't always found.
He issued an order stating that King Heinrich's bones must be found no matter what. They had to be somewhere after all.
But when the king's bones remain elusive, others are used instead.
But they couldn't find the bones. So they took other bones that had been buried in the catacombs of the crypt and announced a year later that they were the remains of King Heinrich.
Hitler regards his henchman's obsession as a mere fantasy.